Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Unfiltered Truth Podcast. The details about me or the ways you can find the audio version or the video version of these episodes, all of that is in the description box. This episode is called We Must Prune to Prosper. I want to start out with a verse per usual, and this is from John 15:2. And it says, He cuts off every branch of mine that doesn't produce fruit, and He prunes the branches that do bear fruit so they will produce even more. So while I was in church today, I got this download. And it's funny the way that God talks to us, because for me personally, He speaks to me differently at different times. Sometimes I may hear Him, I may see something in my mind's eye, I guess you would call it. So I may see something intuitively. I may feel something, sense something like that energetically. Or sometimes I have a dream or, different things. Okay, so anyways, I'm sitting in church and my son's bracelet, I got to adjust that. I'm sitting in church and I get this download seeing these plants that I have at home. And it created this perfect analogy of what God does with us when He wants to prune us and why He would want to prune us. So I have some plants here, of course, and I want to show you an example of what it's like when God prunes us and the stages of growth that He takes us to. I also have a personal example that I'm going to share about how God pruned me or prune things in my life or whatever so that I would be able to flourish and prosper as well. Now, this plant right here, this is called, the official name is Wandering Jew, but because, people, we try to be more, aware and empathetic for others, we say Wandering Dude. Now, that's the name of this plant, okay? And her real name is Bonita. My son named her. Okay, so this is what she looks like. All right. Now, she was not full like this. Her things were not hanging off, hanging over all full like that. She wasn't this full just a couple months ago even. Okay. In June, she was not looking like that. So what happens, I probably should have showed you. There's not any of these branches on here, but I'm going to try to show you anyway. So what happens is sometimes these little branches that are on here, they will get really, really thin, like super thin, and they will get like brown, and they'll be, looking like they're just about to fall off at any time. But when you get closer to the root, the stem is very thick, and so it'll go from thick to very, very thin and brittle almost, and brown, and look like it could just snap off, and then it'll stay like that, hanging on by a thread, it looks like. And then at the bottom of that, it'll be like some leaves like this just kind of hanging. Okay. So you get in this spot where, like, what are you supposed to do with that? Are you supposed to just let it keep growing? Are you supposed to, okay, what you're supposed to do is propagate. So I'm gonna show you that. But sometimes what can happen too is, like, you could bump one of these things when you're walking by, and they're pretty sturdy, but it's a plant, it's not a rock or a cement or whatever, so it can snap and break, and then, oh no, I done broke my beautiful plant, right? Okay, so sometimes when that happens, what you can do is, okay, so here's one. It's not super thin, but it's kind of thin, so you can kind of see what I mean. So in here I have this little vase, right? So when one first pops off, it'll look something like this. Okay, and so it's really thin, it's just looking like a little straggly and a little broke, but you see how it's leaves on the bottom, and the leaves look all right. Okay, so you can see there is a tiny piece of root just starting to grow at the bottom. All right, so you put it in water and you keep it there till the roots grow. Now, once you have it in there for a while, it starts to look more like this. So you can see this plant, these roots look all nasty and slimy because they've been in this. I just put fresh water in here this morning, but the roots are just kind of like stuck together a little bit because they've been in this water. So you can see that this one has been in here for a while longer, and so it has a lot more roots on it, and the roots look pretty long and sturdy and healthy. So now this one is ready to be joined in with this one that is flourishing in the soil. Okay, and that will make it look very you know, a lot more full, and it will be very pretty. Okay, so now I was saying these plants, let me break it down. All right, sometimes we feel like we're doing okay, but we may have one little area where we're hanging on by a thread, or something is hanging on by a thread. A relationship is hanging on by a thread, or a friendship, or I don't know, something financially or in our career or whatever it is. Okay. And so that one little thing that's hanging on by a thread, we might be trying to just keep it all together in the pot and just let it hang there on that little bitty thin, almost dead little twig of a used to be stem. We may try to hold on to that thing and resuscitate it over and over again and try to just keep it living. That's all we want to do, is just keep it living. Okay. That is, you know, like the very basic, below average, like minimal effort, like the very, very least that we could do is just leave it as it is and try to like ignore it and work around it and let everything else flourish. All right. Now, what we want to do though, or sometimes what God will do, is that little piece of our life that was looking a little bit shady, looking a little bit thin, looking a little bit, you know, lackluster, I guess. He will separate it. He will set it apart. He will set us apart. Sometimes he will take us and remove us out of a situation to set us apart. We may look and feel a little like this, like, what is going on with me? Why did you separate me from my source of life? Okay. But then what we don't know is he is about to put us in a little TLC clinic. Okay. He puts us in the little TLC clinic. He puts us on the shelf, out the way, away from everything else, while the other stuff is still doing what it's going to do. And we over here set apart, out to the side, and he's working on us in a different way. Okay. Now, after he's been working on us for a little while, we start to, you know, sprout new growth. Okay. So then we end up with these nice, sturdy roots and stuff like that. And we just don't have a container anymore. Well, our container is water, but that's not really where we want to be. We're okay over here. We're set apart. We're in our little water vase. But really, plants grow in soil, and we know that. So we know that this is a temporary situation to be in this vase, this little vase of water with the cute little marbles at the bottom and on the kitchen windowsill where we can get good light and stuff like that. We know that this is a temporary, like, incubator type of situation. Okay. We are set apart and we are being worked on. We're being healed. We're being restored. We are growing. We're learning new things about ourselves, different things like that. Okay. And then at some point, once those roots have grown back, or that little section of our life, that little area of our life is back strong again, then it will be joined into, you know, a different, you know, it will be rejoined, I guess, in this big pot, okay, with the rest of the plant, which is also doing well. Now, I need to also add this plant. The reason why it was looking like that in the first place was because it was inside. I had it inside the house all the time. All right. These plants thrive very well in warm, humid weather with indirect sunlight. Okay. So I moved this plant out to my patio where it could get a lot more sun, a lot more warm, humid air, and it is just so excited about being out there. Okay. And I'm going to continue to leave it out there as long as I can, so it can get as large as possible and strong as possible before I bring it in. I'm going to also add in these other little two pieces. Well, the one that has the longer roots, I'm going to add that in soon, in the next day or two. And then this other little one to just be in here by itself, getting its life together. Okay. And then it will be added over there too. All right. Now, why did I say all that? Because sometimes we can't grow the way that we're supposed to because we're not in the right atmosphere. Okay. And that is not a dig on anyone. That's not pointing the finger and saying like, oh, you guys are wrong. This area, this environment, this atmosphere is all messed up. I can't grow here and it's all your fault. It's not that. It's not. It's about, so like in the previous episode where I was talking about surrendering to God's sovereignty. It's about surrendering and letting God do what he wants to do in your life, letting him move the pieces and the people around so that you can prosper, so that you can flourish. And sometimes that means cutting off places, cutting off people, cutting off situations that are just draining you. They are sucking the life out of you and they are not contributing anything to your spiritual growth, your well-being, your peace of mind, your quality of life. Nothing. They are draining you and they are hindering you from being as bountiful as you possibly could. So when those situations come up where you have been plucked and set aside, just know that God is in charge of that whole situation and he's going to move things around the way that they need to be moved around so that everything can be solid and substantial and cohesive for your growth and your well-being, your quality of life. He gave us life so that we can enjoy it to the full. But in order for us to enjoy it to the full, we have to really let him, move some stuff around on our behalf because he really knows. He goes up in front of us, right? So he's ahead of us. He already knows what's coming down the pipeline. So sometimes, if we are in tune, he will give us a heads up through a vision, through a dream, through a word that we just hear, through clear cognizance, where you just know something. You just know something. You just feel it. And then he will give you an outward or external confirmation that what he told you in the spirit was accurate. And so that confirms and makes your faith a lot stronger, your footing a lot more firm, so that you can move forward in confidence and know that you are moving in the direction that God gave you. Okay. So I don't want to harp on this too long, but this is a good example. I have a personal example that illustrates this. Okay. Now on this channel is all about personal growth, development, and, just trying to be a better person. And the reason why is because I'm committed to personal growth, and being committed to growth has helped me overcome so many negative experiences, obstacles, challenges, and different things like that. So this channel is all about sharing those things transparently and authentically so that I can maybe hopefully support someone else, or God may give a word through me that speaks to you and inspires you and keeps you motivated and stuff. Okay, so that being said, anything that I share on this channel is my testimony. It's not about trying to throw anybody else under the bus or anything like that. However, there are characters in stories, okay? And so some characters chose to do things that make them look a certain way, and I am not here to harp on or pick on or, throw anyone under the bus or whatever. So I try to be as vague as I possibly can on certain things just to protect people's character, reputation, and stuff, because I care about that. I care about how I treat other people. Everyone is not like that, though. And some people will drag you up and down and they don't even know about you like that. Okay. Such was the case with me. So I'm also, I have mentioned this before, introverted. And so if you've ever been around an introvert, you can be around them. They're a good person to hang out with, their fun and all of that. But sometimes they don't open up about everything, just because maybe you're not the person to hear certain things, and that's not to be rude or anything, but it's like, sometimes if you already know somebody is in a certain space, it's no reason for you to share something with them or put something down that they're not going to be able to pick up, if you know what I mean. Okay. So sometimes you just, you keep certain things to yourself. Like, for example, I'm extremely private. Okay. I don't share a lot of personal things with anyone. Okay. And especially publicly. So certain things I don't about my personal life and things like that. But teachable moments, they're not personal to me anymore, because I feel like anything that we go through, God has us go through so that we can, it's for his glory. He can't be glorified if we keep it to ourselves. It's for someone else that's going through that a similar situation. All right. So I've mentioned this before a little bit, but basically, I was highly misunderstood. Someone assumed this was a friend, and it was, honestly, it was based on something. It was really about something else, but this was the camouflage to create, some beef that was unnecessary, pretty much. A reason for them to be upset and act the way that they wanted to act. So they decided to say that I did voodoo on them and I cursed them through bracelets and stuff. I have never talked about anything like that. I have never posted anything like that. And it was heartbreaking to me because I didn't expect that to come from these people that I thought I was cool with, right? I understood that, somebody might be mad at me about something, but I thought it was something that we might be able to just talk about. It was an unrelated issue. It was honestly pretty petty. And so, I thought it was just something that we could just talk out, smooth over, no big deal. And, it's personal, so I don't want to disclose that, but it was very, very lightweight. Okay. So this went to a whole big year-long saga. All right. So when these people first decided to say, oh, she is a dark witch and she did this and that, and she's a mean person and she's fake and she's blah, 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 and she don't really like church. She don't really want to be a part of whatever, and, yada, yada, yada. Okay. But I think it's very obvious that I do actually love the Lord and I do actually have a relationship with him, and that is the driving force of my life. Okay. But if you don't really know me like that, because when we spend time together, we're doing what you want to do, we're doing, whatever, you're not really trying to get to know me like that. So certain pieces of me, you just don't really know, you just don't really understand. Okay. Another layer to this, these friends of mine, we all went to the same church, and the church that I was going to at the time did not believe in the Holy Spirit, being, like the personage of the Holy Spirit, moving through us and assisting us or guiding us to heal and do different things, different spiritual acts through our spiritual gifts for other people. Okay. So because of that, that was basically the root cause of the miscommunication, of the misunderstanding, because I'm led by the Spirit, but because that is not taught and that is not understood, what it looked like I was about was something completely the opposite of what I'm on. I don't know where voodoo came from, because that was never a part of any of my vocabulary, but some speculation and assumptions were made because I talk about crystals, because I had a pseudonym that was ancient Egyptian origin. Isis, Mayat, those are two Egyptian goddesses. And so then speculation and assumptions were made. Oh, she must be praying and worshiping other gods and yada, yada. Okay. I talk a lot about metaphysics and energy, and these things are related to science and psychology and neuroscience and stuff like that. And nothing is related to, like, I guess you would say, like the occult, or dark magic type stuff. Like, that's not what I'm about. I never have been. All right. So that being said, I felt like this. Like, what in the world? What in the world is going on, bro? Okay. But, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do what you want me to do, Lord. So I want to make sure that I'm right. So, because that's what I care about. I care about God. I don't care about other people. I care about God. So I wanted to make sure, first and foremost, I'm cool with God. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do with him. All right. So I asked him, search my heart, I'm searching, I'm opening to the scriptures. I'm like, show me if there's anything I need to do, yada yada. Okay, I've talked about all of this before, but basically he confirmed through the word, no, you're doing what you're supposed to do. You're on track. I've had other people do the same thing that you're currently doing, and I'm still the same as I was back then. So I need you to continue doing what you're doing. But okay, I wanted to make sure that I was all the way right and that there was nothing out the way. Okay, so I let go of my pseudonym. I threw all my business cards away. I had deactivated my social media accounts. I deactivated and unpublished my website for a while. Okay, and so for a very long period of time, we're talking about from like the end of last March, early April, all the way up until about May. Okay, I was in this little vase set apart. Okay, now for a part of that time, I was still going to that church, and I was trying to really just continue to walk in the spirit, let my fruit show. I've been the same person my whole life. People at this church been knowing me. A lot of them have been knowing me my whole life. So I wasn't really tripping off of, gossip like that. It was annoying more than anything because everyone involved knew that this was not true. But, whatever, go on and run it up. Okay. So, I'm just trying to do what I'm supposed to do, loving on people anyway, forgiving my enemies, and because they don't know, they don't understand, and I understand why they don't understand. So I'm not even, that's whatever. Okay. But nevertheless, I stayed in this little container for a very, very long time. Okay, like over a year. So then I end up, finding out, hey, you're not doing nothing wrong. I need you to continue doing what you're doing. Just, it's okay to be in this incubation period. Just chill out and just stay over here. Meanwhile, I'm going to deal with the rest of that. Okay, so with the rest of that, my dad ended up getting a download and saying, hey, let's go to this other place. And so we went, and guess what? Oh, sis is like this now. Okay. Because the atmosphere, it's not the people, it's the spirit. All right. So this is why this is important. It's not about the container, the outfit you have on, the skin suit you're wearing, the other people that you're around or connected to, the status you hold, or things you've done, accomplishments. It's not about any of that. It's about, are you allowing the spirit to move? Are you allowing the spirit to move in you in such a way that you can use discernment and be able to identify when the spirit is also in another atmosphere? Can you pick up on and feel and sense God's presence in different spaces? Okay. When it's flowing through you and you are living a spirit-filled life, this is not a hard thing to do, because the spirit is going to guide you to where you need to be, to where you need to go. And once you get there, you will feel like, yes, this is where I'm supposed to be. It's going to come out in several confirmations, multiple ways, over and over again. That's what it's going to do. All right. It's going to show you in so many ways. Yes, you did the right thing. Yes, this was it. This is what I was saying. Like, God is going to tell you and confirm and reassure you over and over again. Yes, this is what I was trying to tell you. Thank you for listening. All right. So, I think sometimes we have in our mind, like, how do I even know if I did the right thing? Like, how do I know if I'm hearing God and I'm not just in my head? Well, you know what? When God wants you to do something, it's never really comfortable. Not at first. It becomes comfortable after you do it, but it's not comfortable leading up to that situation. Okay, he has to make you extremely uncomfortable for us to even move. A lot of times we have to be made really uncomfortable. Okay, because otherwise we're content. What do we need to move for? We don't need to go do anything different, or we don't need to go somewhere else or whatever, because for what? We good right here. So we always have that choice of like remaining in our comfort zone, doing the things that feel safe, that we've always been doing and all of that. Okay. But when God is trying to prune you and he's trying to show you something different, he's trying to improve your atmosphere, he's trying to level you up in some type of way, he is going to he's going to make some things tight. He's going to make some things uncomfortable. He's going to, you know, nip off some of your little branches that you thought was doing okay and stuff like that. He's going to put some parts of your life on hold until, you know, other areas are working out and the atmosphere is a little bit more suitable to bring this other aspect back in to your life and different things like that. Okay. So I just wanted to share that with you. I feel sometimes a little uncomfortable talking about the details that involve other people in my stories. So again, I want to reiterate, this is not about me rehashing a situation and trying to bash nobody. That's not what this is. But I needed to give that for example so that you would understand exactly where I was coming from. Okay. So yeah, this can be with small things like, you know, maybe your language or maybe, you know, your diet or something like that. Okay. You keep getting, indigestion and acid reflux and stuff, but you will not stay away from, you know, all the things that make you get that. Okay. So you keep eating the same things that make you feel that type of way because that's what you like to eat, because that's what tastes good, because that's what's comfortable, because that's what everybody else doing, because that's what, because it's familiar. That's why you don't want to do nothing different. Okay. But when God is trying to improve you and prune you so that you can prosper and improve you as a person and help you grow and have a better quality of life and stuff. Sometimes there are things that we have settled into. We can settle into toxicity. We can become familiar with dysfunction, and we can rest in those places that are not safe or stable for us. Okay. And so sometimes he does have to sever a thing so that he can set you apart. And then once he sets you apart, you get a lot more clarity on what you were exactly dealing with. Okay. So when these little sticks get removed or pulled off, you know, if I keep this plant in the house and it's all frail and stuff, and then I grow some roots on it, and then I put it back into the little fragile looking, lame, little empty plant, you know what I'm saying? The little sparse plant, unhealthy plant. If I put it back in there, it's just going to be in the same situation, right? But by putting this plant outside, repotting it, changing the soil, all the things, and let it sit out there the whole summer, let it get big, strong, you know, sturdy, and the soil is good. Now reintroducing this this plant that was on the TLC shelf, that's what I call it in my kitchen, putting that back into the pot, it's going to do much better than it would have done before. Okay. So in all of that, tune in, let God show you what areas, and ask him, what areas do you need to be pruned in? What things do you need to let go of? Now, the thing is that I forgot to mention, once I threw all my business cards away and I did all of that stuff that I did, you know, I was doing that because I needed to show and prove to God that there is nothing that I'm looking to outside of him in order to be used by him. I knew that already, but I needed to do something tangible in the physical form as a sacrifice and as a form of, I guess, covenant with him. I had already given my business to him. I had already given myself to him repeatedly, over and over again. You can't be used as a vessel by God and not submit yourself wholeheartedly on a daily basis. That is my lifestyle. But I am a human. So humans err sometimes without even knowing it. And I gotta turn this fan on, y'all. It's hot and it might be too loud. I hope not, but I'm burning up. But I'm finna stop this in a minute anyway. Okay, anyways. So that might be too loud. I hope not. Okay, so anyways, that I did all of that stuff, right, and shut things down, but then he brought everything back. He brought everything back without me even looking for it. Like, people were looking for me to make things for them, and these were, you know, people like my elders that are Christian women and stuff. So there was no reason for me to tell them no. Okay. I let the suit on them go, even though it was not anything wrong with it. And even since then, he has confirmed to me over and over and over again, there was nothing wrong with that, because he looks at our heart and what our intentions are. We're not sharing space with other, guys or whatever. But just to keep everything on the up and up, I still left it where it's at. Okay, so I got my business cards redone with my government name, and now we just have 2 social media pages with the government name, and we have the business page with the brand name, Unfiltered Truth. Okay, so whatever, that's what it is. I don't want any like misconstrued ideas, because people have been talking about me for a long time behind my back about this type of stuff. Okay, so anyways, there was a lot going on with people like basically combing through my pages without me knowing, trying to find evidence to support these claims that I was in some other stuff. All right, so now that I'm looking back on it, I see that God setting me apart and putting me over here was moving me out the way. While those people were doing all of that stuff, I was over here worshiping the Lord. I was getting closer with him, even closer than I already was. He was showing me confirmation and reassurance and just solidifying, the journey that he has me on in my life, in my spiritual life and stuff, and the path that he has me on, the mission that he has me on, the assignments that he gives me and stuff like that. He was confirming all of this is what it is. You're not delusional. This is what it has always been for the whole 26 years we've been doing this. It's still what it is. Okay, so while I was over here, I was growing, I was healing, and I was doing all that. Okay, and meanwhile, the atmosphere was being prepared for me somewhere else. And then now that I've been over there in a different atmosphere, that spirit filled, that accepts me as I am, even with my jewelry, even with my spiritual gifts and things like that, even with God using me in whatever way, it is so fulfilling. It is so fulfilling and liberating to just be able to be free in the spirit and allow the spirit to move in whatever way he wants to. Okay, that was a lot. I don't know that it came out right. I feel like it was kind of all over the place, but I shared all of these things because I just want you to think about that with your own life. Don't hold on to things and try to force things to fit that don't. Don't try to resuscitate things that are obviously dying slow. Okay, especially when they are not beneficial to your spiritual well-being, your quality of life, your mental health, your emotional health, your physical health, your relationships and different things like that. If it's not good for you and you're struggling to try to keep it afloat, just let God have it. Give it to him. And if he does remove it, let it be gone, because what he's going to do is so much better than what you could have ever done in your own strength, trying to hold on to something that was no longer serving you. Release all that is no longer serving you to him. Let him take it, flip it, transmute it, and put it back out into the world in a whole new way, and give it to you in a whole new way, so that you can really, truly prosper and flourish in this lifetime. Thank you for listening. If this video was helpful for you, please don't forget to like. If you have not subscribed, please do so. This is not about me. This is about the message getting out to those who need it, and your participation and support in this channel helps that message get out to others. So I know some people just like to watch stuff and they don't really like to click the buttons, but when you click the buttons, it really helps other people have access to watch the same thing. So on that note, thank you for paying attention and tuning in, and I will catch you next time.